All right. Hello, everybody, and happy weekend. Welcome to the Cosmic News with your host, April O'Neil from Channel 6 News. Yay! So, I just wanted to give you guys some background as to what today's show is going to be all about. We're going to talk about anchoring in timelines. And just because you guys know I'm a little bit of a word nerd, I come from a background of English literature and psychology. And so I'm very interested in how different words impact our neurological processes, including things like emotions, as well as how we like deduce things and how we interface with this reality, right? This shared dream. Okay, so hi, Rich. Hey, Neil. Welcome, welcome. So we're going to do something really quick. I'm going to first go over what's going on in the stars right now, and then we're going to go into how do I want to do this? So I'm April. I'm cosplaying as April O'Neil. So what we're going to talk about is the concept of news anchors, right? And then the symbology of an anchor. Because I was reading in the bath last night. I was reading The Flash. Where is it? I have a lot of comic books, you guys. So I will connect all of this together, and we will be doing a read today. We're going to do a read of the conclusion of the Batman Adventures comic book that I read you guys earlier. But we're going to, as I said, Cosmic News with with April Rachel O'Neil. I love April O'Neil a lot. So my personal love for April comes from the Ninja Turtles, of course. Back in the early 90s, there was a TV show, right? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, right? And Heroes with a Half Shell, Turtle Power. Arrow, yeah. So, and turtles themselves also have a lot of symbology loaded into them as well. So, what I love to do on this show with you guys is like, yes, I love comic books. Yes, I love mythology and stories. But of course, with all of these fables and fairy tales and stories, while they are fictional, while they are made up, there is great truth encoded within them, right? And so it's about unpacking all of that, and how we do that is with symbols too, right? Hey, Stamray, yes, April O'Neil. Um, Hopefully I spelled her name right. That's a funny thing I've learned about comic books, and you read things out loud, and you're like, wow, in my head, I had it sounding different than my vocal cords are able to come out with. It's an interesting thing. Hey, Lil Yoshi Fruit. Oh, hey, I love your name too, Lil Yoshi. Manuel. Oh, thanks, Manuel. So, fun fact too, guys. I grew up very nerdy. I was kind of a tomboy growing up. I had a lot of guy friends. I wasn't one of those girls, though, who was like, oh, I have a lot of guy friends because girls don't like me. It was really not like that. I just had a lot of girlfriends, and we had a lot of guy friends. And I just feel like it's so weird these days, right? How like everything's so like encroached in this, like no one cares about banging another person when you're 5. Like even though you might think a girl is pretty or a boy is like cute or anything like that, it's very innocent, it's very sweet, it's like a love on a certain kind of level that is friendship, right? And friendship of course can blossom into a romantic relationship, but I do feel like girls like April O'Neil, Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, there's a lot of archetypes behind Mary Jane, right? Peter Parker, the girl next door, just being like a good girl, because that was what I was growing up, and it was hard for me. Girls can be mean, and you find that you conform or you change your personality in some ways just because you want to have friends. So the thing I love about April is that when I went to school for broadcast journalism, a big thing that they taught us was that realistically, journalism is about storytelling. And I know this doesn't exist in the world right now, but to do this in an unbiased way is to present both sides of a story. You yourself as the viewer, I should not know where the news anchor, where their opinion lies. But of course, this has changed quite a bit because you have certain journalists that have like opinion pieces, and that's cool. But like to me, I'm just like, but who are you? Like, I shouldn't care. You know what I mean? I had a psychedelic experience, when was it, a few years ago, and I had the goddess Nut. And if you're familiar with Egyptian mythology, she's the goddess of the night sky. And she sent me a message saying, you have to kill all of your idols, Rachel. I'm like, kill all my idols. But I love my idols. And then I realized, I'm like, oh, it's not about idolizing these figures, right? It's not about me looking at April O'Neil and being like, oh, I'm going to worship April. But I myself, I'm not going to do the digging for the truth. I myself, I'm not going to be friends with little alien mutant creatures. And I myself am not going to do all the things that I find inspirational in April, right? We idolize it and that's over here, right? And so what I've realized is that there's a very practical thing that happens, like practical magic that happens when you are inspired by a character. And if you have a favorite character or a crush on a character, right? Like I had the biggest crush on Dick Grayson Robin growing up. I just literally had the biggest crush. Like when I would watch him on TV on that 60s show, I had my little heart was just like, I love you so much, Robin. And one day in my imagination, we're going to be together. Hey, Shamiz. Hey, April. I met Rachel. And you know what? I was born in April too, right? I was born April 24th, 4 days after 420. I think that means something. I feel like it makes sense too because I'm a Taurus. And so Tauruses love snacks and food and homey things, and I feel like that's kind of in with Mary Jane. But I am not talking about that today. Today we're talking about anchoring in timelines. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys some background into April O'Neil if you're not familiar, and we'll do a little interfacing with what the stars are actually doing right now. Let me just pull up the chart quickly. I hope you guys are doing well today. How your weekend's going, and if you also want to in the chat drop whatever your sign is, because that we're going to do a reading for each sign very quickly, a 1-card major arcana pull. I haven't done that in a long time live, but I feel like today is a good day to do it. Let me just double check what's going on. We have the sun in Pisces and the moon in Cancer. We got double water element happening in the sun and moon. We also have Mercury and Venus both in Aries. That's what I was born with. Mercury and Venus together in Aries. And this concept of being able to initiate things that are not as formlessness, right? My knowledge of the Ninja Turtles isn't as good as the DC universe, but still. So you're in for a treat. Let me show you guys the comic book we're going to look at today. So I've got this. It's fun. I love this because April O'Neil and Batgirl actually meet, and they actually have a lot in common. So I'm going to go into April O'Neil's Astro. Let's do that. And this will be a learning opportunity, as you can kind of see that everything has an astrology. Everything has a blueprint in the stars that can give you some sort of intel as to where you are in time, space, and in this reality. I like to call it shared dreaming. So I'm going to Turtlepedia. April O'Neil. There's a few fandom sites and stuff. I remember when I was first the internet. So my dad was a professor in computer science at the University of Manitoba, and so I got to grow up with a lot of computers, and so I had the internet when I was very young, and I still miss the old internet. Let's see here. Is this right? There's a lot of ads on this. Okay, it's okay. I'll take it. My hubby would tell me, get ad block, Rachel. I know, but soon. In case you're wondering, I'm trying to work on my technical skills so that these shows are a bit more interactive and cool looking, just like the shows I grew up with. Oh my gosh, where is this? Okay, that. Oh my gosh. Okay, it's okay. Forget it. I'm not gonna fight with it. Okay, so April O'Neil. So April O'Neil is a young human woman, sometimes teenage girl, who has appeared in almost every version of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise. April is usually the first ally. So the Ninja Turtles, of course, if you're not familiar with the Ninja Turtles, they live in the sewers underneath New York City. They have the green ooze that turn... Oh, no worries, Keaton. I found that TikTok, sometimes when I join people's lives, it when I'm trying to just write a comment, it'll try to people, so no worries. But hey, nice to see you, Keaton. Hey, Godwork. It is April. The nostalgic sound of that dial-up. Oh man, I should get a sample of that sound. We should put that in some of the DJ sets because you can make music out of anything, even that horrendous sound. We luckily enough, when I was growing up, we had a separate line for the internet, mainly because my mom's Filipino, and they're like on the phone for like 3 hours with their auntie, like your aunties in the Philippines. So like how was I supposed to use the internet if my mom was using the phone the whole time? So we at least had a separate line for the dial-up modem. Okay, so she's a news reporter, right? And a very good friend of the Ninja Turtles, often acting like a big sister or surrogate mother to them, right? April's love interest in the franchise is Casey Jones, who is also a close friend and human ally of the Turtles. Okay. There's different renditions of her. She looks like... Oh, so in terms of comic books, the Ninja Turtles, for me, my first memory of reading the Ninja Turtles as a comic book was going to the grocery store with my mom and my sister. And, like, checking out at the aisles, you have, like, all the Archie comics, and you'd have all the Ninja Turtle comics. So I would get Ninja Turtles. Tonight, the next dance party is going down, you guys. We're doing Batgirl and Nightwing, just because it's going to go along with this. Let me flip this, actually. Let me do. There we go. Beautiful. Okay. I do live in Canada, Bongo Man. However, I'm in Toronto right now. I'm a prairie girl, though. I grew up in Winnipeg, Manitoba. I'm also born 1985, so I'm turning 40 in like April 24th, so like about a month or so I'm turning 40. So in recent issues, she's not a reporter, though. But DC, they changed her origin story retroactively. Like, I'm a child of the 80s, right? And I just have certain memories of, like, She-Ra, for example. I'm working on a cosplay of She-Ra, but I love the old She-Ra. The new She-Ra, they cut off her boobs. I'm like, what the heck? I love She-Ra's. I also can't tell you guys how much I actually really love these characters. And one thing that has been such a beautiful surprise going live and reading comic books with you guys is like how much these characters mean to you guys too. And how much we love them, and like also how live action and a lot of what Hollywood's done to a lot of these stories, that you have actors, for example, Megan Fox played April O'Neil in one of the live action Ninja Turtle shows, and Megan Fox is a fox. She's hot, right? She's also a fellow Taurus. But her moon is in Leo. So you can kind of see like where different positions of your luminaries in your own personal chart will give you different, lenses, different ways, different attributes as to how that sign will express in like a human form, right? Hey, Cannibal, how's it going? Hey, 1 a.m. DC, you know what though? They kind of they uglified her too. Like they did a lot of that in video games, uglifying a lot of the avatars. And I tell me and my sister are just like, but we look like those characters. What are you saying? That like my very body is like somehow offensive to you? Whatever, that's okay. I've learned to just be okay with it. And I think comic books and different versions and me learning about different mythology, like for example, moon myth. I love the moon. I love Sailor Moon. There are many moon goddesses, right? So you have Artemis, you have Diana, you have Isis, you have Mayari from the Philippines, you have, oh my gosh, it's escaping me right now. But regardless, you have different aspects that represent one essence. But they all have their own ways of doing it, but they're also each other. It's kind of like when you have time travel in comic books, where you have just like versions of yourself from younger and older, right? So it's kind of like that. Hecate, thank you, DeLuna. Hecate too is more than a moon goddess, right? But we also have like associations with things, because you also have Luna, which is a goddess that is supposed to be the embodiment, personification of the moon, as opposed to Artemis being the goddess of the hunt and the moon. So like those are different things, like Helios being the personification of the sun and Apollo being the god of the sun, right? So these things, she's dancing on another channel. My name is Ray Moon. I like that. I love, so as you guys can see, I have a moon charm around my neck. I was born under a crescent moon in Gemini. And for myself, personally, the Gemini aspect, I've had to learn to deal with my own shadow stuff with that. That's why I love cosplay. I love putting on different characters, playing with the different aspects of myself, and also realizing where in myself I've been a villain to myself. And sabotaged myself, right? So I find like in embodying April O'Neil, I embody also those attributes of being courageous, right? Being able to like seek the truth, like be there for your friends no matter what. Follow through with your promises, like be that friend, because I was that friend. I still am that friend, like if you need me and you're stuck, I will come get you. Don't take a sketchy way home. Call me if you're, especially in Winnipeg growing up, right? Like here in Toronto, well, I guess there's Uber here now too. There's Uber in Winnipeg as well. But back in the day, you had to have a designated driver if you're going to go out clubbing, right? Also too, like we would also just go to house parties. You just like drive your car to someone's place. You'd like have a party and just leave your car overnight. So that's my childhood, right? Growing up like that. So that whole idea, like I have a lot of letters from old friends of mine who were like, thanks Rachel for like coming through for me back when, like, because I'm not going to give you judgment, wherever you are, whatever's happened, we've all been there. So somebody's just like a non-judgmental friend is like, listen, I'll come with you with my car. I'll pick you up. It can be 3 a.m. I just want to make sure you're safe. Right. So hey, Utah. Hey, Matthew. You live in Mexico. I love Mexico. I got married in Mexico. I got married in Mexico in 2015 in Cozumel with my hubby on the beach. Oh, I love that. Okay, guys. But maybe back to Canada. I would say that I don't think many of us are meant to just stay in one spot. Think of like gypsies, or wild horses in the prairies. You'd you come up to the prairies north in like the summertime because summers are really hot and nice. And when it gets cold, you go down south. There's nothing wrong with being Mexico in the winter and like Canada in the summer. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think we're in a world right now, the tariff war, the government, all like that's all the news is about, right? Where are the Ninja Turtles? Where are the superheroes? Where's all the fun stuff? This is freaking awful. So, it is human to make mistakes. Some are just more human. The Shimmies, I will do you one better in terms of that. I love that. Mistakes are just, I love mistakes. Beautiful mistakes. I'll give you an example before we go into the chart of today. And then we'll do a little read. And then we're going to do a card reading for every sign. Okay. So where was I going with this? Mistakes. Right? And this idea of even telling stories. So mistakes are human, yeah. But who is to consider a mistake, right? When is it a mistake? So I'll give you this in terms of being a dancer. So dance for me is another language. There are sometimes songs, like when I hear a song for the first time, like my hubby when he's a DJ, right? And if you guys want to blame anyone for song choices, blame me. My hubby DJs for me. He plays those songs for me because dance for me has always been so intrinsically tied to music. Like I hear songs and then my cells in my body just move the way they need to move to it. And that's always just been my language. Now, growing up in the prairies, it's not like we had a lot of cool dance classes like we have here in Toronto or like LA or any of these kinds of things. I had my 3 best friends and we would get together on the weekends. I had a video camera. We used to watch Much Music. We would copy all the moves from music video and then add in our own little like moves, and we would make dances together. And then we would make our own little music videos. I would videotape them. And I did video editing back in the day too. This is like, I used Final Cut Pro, which used to come free with your computer. Like the whole Adobe suite was free back in the day. Or you could get a cracked copy. There's no subscription. Oh my gosh, you actually own the software. What a different time. But yeah, we used to make these music videos, and then like I would edit them, and then we would have like little parties where we would like have screenings of our own music videos. So yeah. Oh no, this is a wig. This is a wig. And you know what? Bong, it's if you think about it, Batgirl, her wig is actually also bulletproof. So it's multi-purpose. Same thing, Black Canary, her fishnets, like one of the bad guys is like, hey, fishnets. She's like, these are not fishnets. These are nanofiber armor for my legs. They just happen to look like fishnets. So multi-purpose. Am I bald then? No. I have, for a long time, I was very obsessed with having my own hair match what I saw in comic books. Like I was obsessed for a long time to have platinum blonde hair, and I achieved that. My natural hair now is just natural. I started dyeing my hair when I was like 14, and it's funny, the first color I wanted to dye my hair was red. And if you look at my old modeling photos, I'm gonna share some of them soon because, oh my gosh, let me go into my story actually. It's so like convoluted how I ended up actually coming back here, because I was a model, you guys. I was an import model. I used to stand next to like cars and stuff and like pose. So I knew Tila Tequila back in the day, Stephanie Nguyen, like all the girls from back in the day. Let's see, your natural color is black. Oh, thanks, Flurry. Oh, thank you so much. His natural color is black. I don't think that my natural hair, I used to think for a long time my hair color was black, but after dyeing my hair black, don't do that, by the way. Big no to girls, I tell people, never permanently dye your hair black, because more than likely your natural hair color, even if it's dark, it's probably a very dark brown. Also, there's nuances in color, right? Like, not every blonde is good on every skin tone. Same thing goes with brunettes and these different nuances in color. Same thing, like females and males see colors differently, and I think that's a tell, right? As to how we interface with reality. We literally have our own lens in terms of how we're seeing things. So me putting on April to present to you guys, there's Rachel here, but there's April too. And because I know April very deeply, I embody the parts in me that resonate with that archetype of who she is. So that's like acting as well, right? Even if you were to look at any movie that you see, anyone who's acting as a character that is beloved to you, you consent to going into that imagination and being like, okay, I will buy that Chris Evans is my Captain America. He did a great job. He's a great Captain America. I'm like, you're Captain America. Yeah, but Chris Evans, the actor, now gets to have some of the shine of what playing Captain America did. It like feeds back into your real life self. So there's a magic to cosplay, right? Because that type of magic is not only for like the actors or the big name production companies or anything like that. Me and my friends used to do this in our basement, right? An audience of each other was like good enough for us. I didn't care about it. Even me and my hubby, like those DJ sets, we would do those even if it wasn't live. You know, that's all I'm telling you. Like we would just do that at home ourselves, even if it wasn't. So, really, really going towards like what brings you joy. And I feel like, you know, this world today with like, you know, content creation and influencers and social media and chasing the algorithm and being viral, all this stuff changes the creative process of things, I feel. And it's a shame, right? Because when I used to work in corporate as a project manager, I worked with a lot of creative people. And I used to have a designer named Daniel, and he would always pull together these mock-ups, these beautiful mock-ups for our client. And he'd be like, Rachel, I know that these are going to get ruined with the client feedback, but at least they're beautiful now. And I told him, like, I'll do my best to guide the client in such a way that they can see the benefits of doing things in like a certain creative standard, right? Rule of thirds, all these rules to creation, but they're not necessarily there to hold you back. It's more about like the code of the cosmos, like the Fibonacci sequence, things like that, like drawing a perfect circle. These are not meant to constrain you. They are instead meant to give you the parameters by which you can like break them. Hey Alvin, how's it going? Oh, thanks, Manuel. I appreciate that. Also, I appreciate that you guys love April as much as I do. So without further ado, let's get into the cosmic news, my friends, as April O'Neil, Channel 6 News. Also, the main thing I wanted to talk to you guys as well is the magic of news anchoring. That was the main topic of this, before I go off on my tangent. All right. Let me just put this here. I had something planned. Okay. So, thanks, Manuel. You guys know, like, I love cosplaying as Supergirl, Kara Zor-El as well. Kara is the older cousin to Superman. Superman, of course, his alter ego is Clark Kent. Clark Kent works for the Daily Planet, making him a journalist, right? Same thing. That's why where he meets Lois Lane, and Lois Lane is, you know, Pulitzer Prize, Nobel Prize, like just award-winning journalist, Lois Lane. So Lois Lane, April O'Neil, and what's her name? Linda Park, who is Wally West, the Flash's girlfriend. They're all news anchors. They're all journalists. Oh, thanks, Axe. So I'm going to tell you guys some... Remember the Matrix Supergirl? I do, DC. Supergirl, I have a really magical connection to Supergirl. I've only recently realized what that all means, because in April of 1985, the same year and month that I was born, the issue of Crisis on Infinite Earths, where Supergirl dies, was released. So, cosmologically, that archetype of Supergirl, yeah, I do have a Kryptonian connection. I've always felt like an alien. I've always felt like that. And there's a lot of stuff in the Anishinaabe cosmology, the Native American cosmology, about Manitou, Manitoba, the great creator spirit, the prairies. There's something there, you guys. There's something here. There's something really magical about this land and place. And in the characters, these fictional characters that call to our imagination, like, I don't know why I love April O'Neil so much, right? Like, you watch a TV show and you just end up falling in love with certain characters, right? Like, no different than you have a Ninja Turtle that's your favorite. Like Leonardo, I loved Leonardo growing up. And then as I grew up, Michelangelo became my favorite. But I love all the turtles. I can't say one turtle is better than the other. You need all 4 Ninja Turtles, right? And April O'Neil, like, is April going to choose a favorite Ninja Turtle? Hell no, even though Donatello and her are closest. But we'll get into that in just a second. My zodiac sign, oh my gosh, I want to say your name properly. Lukumi. My sign is Taurus, and I did a talk, actually, this was a couple years back, where I said that each of the Ninja Turtles is associated with a fixed astrological sign. Because if you're familiar with like Persian mythology, the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac, which are Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, and Leo, they're known as the guardians of heaven. This idea of being the pillars that holds up the sky. Now remember, we're talking about things symbolically, right? So holding up the sky, what does that necessarily mean? It's like this idea of the connection between heaven and earth, the stability, like a stage. If you think about putting on a performance, there's the idea of like, okay, well, like, we're going to stage it on something, right? And so these are the 4 pillars that hold that together. oh, I love Capricorn. So Capricorn, Virgo, and Tauruses are all earth signs. So I do feel like we all get each other on a very deep level, especially when it comes to being grounded. Yes. So we are reading this. We're actually going to do the later. I've actually read this to you guys before, but we're going to do the later half of it where April and Batgirl meet up. But first of all, I want to read you guys the chart reading of today, current planets, and then we'll go into a card reading. Do you guys have a favorite Ninja Turtle? Oh, Capricorns. You know what though? I would encourage you guys to look at your moon sign as well. So for example, my sister, I'll give her an example. I hope she doesn't mind me talking a little bit about her chart, but she's in Aries. Her moon is in Virgo. Virgo, if you have any placements in Virgo, can be very critical and almost like perfectionist. Hey, Taurus. Hey, X. Yeah, I love Taurus. I have a saying about Tauruses that no one will love you like a Taurus does, for better or for worse. Where was I going with this? Yeah, so my sister has these two placements, but literally she has like 5 planets in Capricorn. So even though her sun and moon are not in a Capricorn sign, she's got a lot of Capricorn placements. So something to look at for your own chart is that I'm a Taurus, my moon is in Gemini, but I have a lot of Aries placements. Like I'm an Aries rising, my Mercury's there, my Venus is there, and I also have a lot of, my sun has a lot of favorable, well, one of them's not that favorable. I have a favorable aspect with Neptune, so my sun is trine Neptune, and my sun is also opposing Pluto. Now, if you have ever dealt with anything Plutonic in aspect, meaning if you have Scorpio tendencies, if you have Pluto in your first house, if you have anything where you're interacting with Pluto, you deal a lot with the darker side of life. You deal a lot with like destruction, transformation, having to like recreate yourself from like the ashes, having to like blow everything up and start from scratch. That's a lot of like Plutonic stuff. So I've had to deal with that. And so thank goodness I have a really powerful imagination. I have I have a really strong connection with the mystical world, with like animals and like plants and like that kind of stuff. I have never known how to actually explain it properly, which is why I've written a lot. I write a lot of poetry. And I've been in corporate for like 10 years, which almost like changed me. I've had to do a lot of healing very recently to undo a lot of programming onto myself. So I welcome to you guys, even if you are working a corporate job or whatever you're being called to do in this life, not to let any of the side quests, any of the things that you need to do in order to like make rent or to survive, take you away from the main soul mission in your life, whatever that is. If it's to write a song, do the painting, tell the story to your child that you needed to pass on from the great ancestors, right? Whatever that is, I can't tell you what that is, right? Only you know the answer to that. However, there are pathways, and this journey is always a lot more fun with friends, right? Who truly do have your best interests at heart. Aw, thanks, Vanity Versace. My son is a Libra charmer. Oh, Libra boys. The pretty boys. I love them. Also, though, too, I am from Manitoba, right? Winnipeg. And fun fact, I was born exactly 100 years after Louis Riel died. So Louis Riel died in 1885 as a result of the Red River Rebellion. If you're familiar with any kind of Canadian history, this Canadian government killed Louis Riel, if you think about it. And it's like this idea of looking at history with a certain viewpoint, right? And realizing all of this is a story. Like, for example, someone was saying the other day, like, Elon Musk, this story about him sleeping on the ground and like, to build Tesla, right? So I'm a project manager, right? I have worked with a lot of developers and software engineers. My sister is also a software engineer. They are the unsung heroes. The actual technical people, you will not know their names. You will not. They are the ones like working in the dark basement coding and doing all this stuff. I'm the one like interfacing with the daylight. So regardless of this, that story about Elon Musk, that's just a story. Whether or not you want to take that on and be like, okay, like this means that Elon is this as a character, to me, I just disregard Elon completely. I'm half South African. My dad's South African, right? My dad is also a professor in computer science. So literally the best math teacher I ever had. He has a master's in mathematics. He used to tell me this story. I remember I was a kid because he had his office in our house. And so he was a prof at the U of M. And I remember one of his students called on the phone. It was like, I think I was like 6 or 7 at the time. So I pick up the phone. I'm like, hello. And the student's like, hello, is Dr. Walton there? And I'm like, doctor? There are no doctors here. And I hang up the phone. And then I go tell my dad, I'm like, Daddy, someone just called and they were asking for a Dr. Walton. There are no doctors here. And then my dad's like, but I have a doctorate degree. I am the doctor. I'm like, what do you mean? You're a doctor? You like work with computers. So so funny. Like my dad and I had like just funny conversations about stuff like this. Like I remember walking into his office and he was working on an algorithm for prosthetics. So like for your wrist to attach any kind of prosthetic on it. And so the design of your human body and what algorithms go into that. And so he was just showing me like creating algorithms so that the computer could draw a circle and it couldn't do it. And he's like, look, Rachel, no matter how you calculate it, the program won't give you a perfect circle, but human beings can do that with enough practice if you're an artist. So don't give away your genius, your human genius, to AI or machines. And I love technology, you guys, but it's about who wields it, just like any superpower or magic, right? Is Sagittarius a good sign? It could be, Christian. It could be. He must be so proud of you. I hope so. My dad, this is a sad thing about what happened. Like, it's only been very recently that I've come out of, like, this trauma that I've been through, because when I first moved to Toronto, and I moved out to Toronto to be April O'Neill, I took broadcast journalism at York University, did, like, this whole institute because then I got disillusioned. I was like, oh my gosh, it's just show business. I can't be a news anchor. But I moved out to Toronto, yes, because I wanted to do this, but I was also running away from trauma, because as I was graduating from university, my grandfather was passed away of Alzheimer's. And that was really hard because Alzheimer's is a very, they forget, right? So my grandfather in the last few months did not know who I was anymore. He only had a memory of me as a kid. So like me as a grown up just didn't know who I was. And so that was really hard, as well as my boyfriend broke up with me. And my mom cheated on my dad and wrecked my whole family. Yeah, she like basically ran off with half the house. She was really like bad about the whole thing. And because you're in a small city, yeah, you guys. And so I feel for all of you men out there. My dad was hurt. I had to hold my dad in the kitchen as he cried to me and asked me why my mom was doing this to him. Yeah. So I still do love my mother, even though all of this has happened, right? Betrayal, all this kind of stuff. But because I had grown up in a smaller place where like people knew who my family was, people knew who all this was, I didn't want to have to go through this whole explanation as to why my parents were getting divorced. And it wasn't a divorce, like you're old enough now, right? It shouldn't affect you, right? It does. Low-key, oh no, I'm sorry, X. I'm sorry, you guys. Yeah, like, and my dad was the best dad, still is the best dad. He's with me on my dreams, right? He always knew that I wanted to be like a reporter, do stories. Like he knows that how much I love English and stuff. So I am going to be converting his house into a radio station. I'm trying to get on AM radio, like coast to coast, tell stories, comic books, all that kind of stuff. your dinner on us. Oh, like, that's, so I have also felt like, okay, so let's go back to that story as to why I even first moved out to Toronto. All those three things happened to me. Oh, thanks, Lukumi. Oh. So this was in 2007. So I have a theory with you guys, and hopefully I don't get censored for this kind of stuff, but we'll see. We're gonna go really woo for just a second before we get into the astro chart and like what I wanted to talk about initially. In 2007, I moved out to Toronto. Now, this is all because like my mom, my mom was cheating on my dad, and then they had tried to work things out, and then it was the divorce, right? And so here's the thing about divorce. Divorce will always favor the female, right? And when I went back home to Winnipeg, my dad finally told me a lot of the logistics, a lot more of the painful logistics of what happened when my parents divorced, including just like greed. It's just greed. And also like divorce lawyers, and just this idea of like pitting people against each other, and like this way of like, why does my mom deserve half of my dad's pension when you're the one who cheated on the relationship? You know, you're the one who cheated. You're the one who ruined everything. But like, why does the man have to like pay out for that? It's crazy. It's crazy. And so like I felt horrible because I wasn't there to help my dad deal with it. But it's interesting because when I went back for Christmas this time, me and my dad had a really honest, big conversation, and he apologized to me because when I moved out here to Toronto, I did so with 2 suitcases and nothing. I built my whole life in Toronto ground up. I disconnected from that other girl. I cut her off. I was like, I'm not her anymore. And so yeah, it's all of that kind of stuff. So oh my goodness. And the crazy thing is, though, as I said this the other day on my Facebook, I needed to get some stuff off my chest because there's so much about like women's circles. I can't stand women's circles. I can't stand these stupid things, like retreat circles, all this kind of stuff. I can't stand. I went to an all-girls Catholic high school. You know how toxic that was. You know how mean girls are? Holy crap. Some of my best friends growing up were like nerdy guys, honestly, right? And bringing this back around to April O'Neil is that, like Beauty and the Beast, or like why, Disney princesses have animals that talk to them and stuff, because you like have no actual friends. If you think differently, only talks. That's true. That's true. Life is not a battle. That is true. I was lucky though, in the sense that I was a drama kid growing up. And I find that because of that, I guess you can act, right? So I can act like I actually fit in, even though you're just like, you're not. You're like much more nerdy and weird, and like, I'll just keep that to myself. I'm in work with my Google Translate because you are important. You guys are very sweet, you guys. Okay, so I didn't mean to go into that whole story as to like, I guess my origin story, but I did want to bring this up because it is related to the book that I wrote. So when I was 14, I graduated grade 8 from a small Catholic school called St. Emil's School. So we're both venting low key. Yeah, there's something in the cosmos about all that today, and we'll get to the card readings to, I guess, maybe validate that. I got just like tingles to hear that. So because my mom, for me, was not very like huggy, feely, or any of that kind of stuff, I had a very strong connection to Mother Earth, to nature, to like trees, to just being out. Yeah. Oh no, the chemise. You know what? We can have a little group to share that kind of stuff, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. That class, we were very close. We were all, because it was such a small Catholic school, we had a group of 30 kids, and all those 30 kids were friends with each other. Um, of those 30 kids, the class of 1999, 3 of those boys are gone. My friend Cody died in a drunk driving accident when he was 16 in 2001. My friend Elliot jumped off a building on New Year's Eve in 2005. And because of bullying, because he was a weird kid, right? And Elliot Fitch, I still love you, baby. I always remember in grade 3, like, because boys have cooties and stuff, so like all of us girls would like run around the schoolyard and try to kiss all the boys. So I caught Elliot, I like kissed him, and he let me catch him, right? And he went around telling everybody, he's like, Rachel Walton kissed me. But like I loved him, and you know what? I went to an all-girls Catholic school. He went to a public school, and the kids were really, really mean to him, right? So eventually it got too much, and he couldn't handle it anymore. So Elliot, I still remember you. I will still talk about you. I was your friend. Yeah. I don't want to make her cry. I cry easy, you guys. I cry all the time. Because I feel it. And crying is a way of alchemizing and letting it out. Otherwise, you just like hold it all in. It can cause disease that way, right? You can let it out in different ways, like screaming into a pillow. That's why I love working out. That's why I love dance. All that stuff that sits inside, you need to it needs to come out. Otherwise, it like blows up in ways that you can't control, right? Trust me, I've done that. I'm how my father went. He's safe. Okay, good. So, third boy was also drunk driving. So it's, as I told you guys earlier in this story, that how like in Winnipeg you need to have a designated driver because there's no like transit, there was no Uber, like you couldn't get a cab, stuff like that's not really something that you did then. So people would drive drunk, and that caused a lot of pain. And so it's an interesting thing for me too, because magic mushrooms, which are in my background, have done a lot for me in terms of healing myself from a lot of trauma. And oh my gosh, someone's calling me lizard eyes. Okay, Gibson, with your AI. Oh wow, you have an AI Jesus as your avatar. Oh my goodness, that's funny. It's so funny when I find when Christian people love to throw insults, which is kind of funny because, for example, my granny, she's from South Africa, and she's turning 100 this year. I'm turning 40, April 24th, and she's turning, she's a Sagittarius. So someone asking if Sagittarius is a good sign. My granny's a Sagittarius. And Sagittarius, as I said, every sign has a gift. Every sign has a shadow. So Sagittarius, good thing about Sagittarius is always seeking the truth. Always being able to, I feel like it's optimistic, it's mutable, it's fiery. A lot of the girls that I used to perform with were Sagittariuses, who I love. Like there's this like walk, amazing. So thanks, word. The shadow side to Sagittarius is that because of this truth, like because religion and belief can get wrapped up in your search for the truth, we're all the signs too. Fanaticism can be part of it, right? Like you can, be part of a cult. Like I've been part of girl groups that it gets very culty, and you all have to dress the same and all have to think the same, and if you don't, you get ostracized. Yeah, but insult all the time, which is paradoxical. Like they feel like they have the right to say that you have demons, but yet when they behave in like a weird way, you're not allowed to say anything. What about all the bones of children, residential schools? There's a lot of heinous things that the church has done, and I'm cool with accepting, right? I believe in all of it. you guys, I believe in the Bible. I believe in the Nag Hammadi. I believe in the Poetic Edda. I believe in, like, all of these books are stories, and each of them have a resonance with you. And you don't have to take on anything that, like, for example, the Bible, the way they like to make it seem is that you need a priest to help you interpret it. You yourself can't interface with the word directly because that's dangerous. And oh my gosh, what will happen? Oh, thanks, life is not a battle. And, I used to read in church, you guys. I used to teach Sunday school to kindergartners. And I'll tell you one story before we get into the chart reading. I used to teach kindergarten at Sunday school, St. Emil's School, the same place I went to elementary school. And I remember in class, I was telling my hubby this story because I was like, I feel like you'd be like this. So in Sunday school, usually we would teach like parables because Jesus talked a lot in stories, right? Lazarus, all these, or when he turned the water into wine, all these have a deeper meaning. They're all in stories. So I was saying in class, I'm like, okay, kids, Jesus is watching everything you do, right? Everything that you see, like he's like your best friend. They're everywhere, right? So this little boy, I'll still remember this, he falls out of his desk, like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened? He's like, Jesus pushed me. So I was like, oh my gosh. And then it dawned on me. I was like, okay, well, like, why did Jesus push you? And he's like, well, I guess like it's because but I was playing along with him and he gets it. It's that it's like you checking you, and symbolically in terms of like, if you say Jesus pushed you, who am I to say that didn't happen? I'm not, like, you know what I mean? There are other levels that I can't perceive in your world. So yeah, so there's that kind of level, I think, of when I'm telling a story to you. You do not have to take it. You can take what you wish out of it. I'm not going to force you to. However, a lot of these institutions like to enforce belief onto you. Like, they're like, you're this, you have to do this, and you're just like, but why? And then there's never a reason. Like, make it make sense to me. You're also Capricorn people, though. Capricorn and Virgo people, I feel like us Earth people, we need tactical proof. And tactical proof doesn't need to be like, oh, I need to see it to believe it. You need to feel it. Like, when someone says something to you and you're like, okay, I feel like this is a true story, right? Yeah, and just say you don't know. There's a beautiful thing in not knowing, in the mystery, right? Maybe we are not meant to know. I don't want to know how all magic tricks are done, right? I love being amazed by it and to wonder that it could be this and it could be that. Some people I don't need to demystify the experience that is life. Hey, Manuel, yeah. Okay, so yes, the universe and everything we learn about is fascinating and magical enough. And to quote a bird, humans cannot handle that much reality. And when I think of the stars, when I think of the planets, when we think of astrology, it is a practice of observation. And you're reading what is, and then the symbols as something representing something else for you has a very specific meaning. It's going to have a shared meaning, of course, with us as a human family, but for you, uniquely you're going to have something special. Like, your version of April O'Neil is going to be unique to you. And even if I don't necessarily fulfill all of those parameters for it, you can take me as a version of April O'Neil if I have given enough respect to what that archetype is, right? Sherlock Holmes is the best. I love Sherlock. The detective. That's really like Batman if you think about it. The greatest detective. This idea of like following the clues and like what is. And also, like, we don't need to create lies for other people. You know what I mean? To make it make sense. Just like accept, like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe that isn't the truth, right? Or to be okay with like, okay, I'm going to change my opinion because I am now presented with new information, and me from like 5 minutes ago didn't know that information, right? So, but also a level of standing in your conviction as well. Like, when you have a reason as to why you believe what you believe, don't let other people's lies dissuade you or throw you off when you know when you know. And you know when you know. Do I rave? I do. I sure do rave. So when I first moved out to Toronto, you guys, I was a go-go dancer. I used to dance for government, at music, at a lot of clubs that don't even exist anymore. I actually worked for a go-go dance company under a girl named Dasha from Russia, because we all know those Russian girls. They know how to move. I'm telling you. But yeah, it was great. I love it. I love that a lot. I'm trying to bring that back. You know what, the Shamis? If someone truly believes the Earth is flat, then it is. To me, like that's your worldview, right? Yeah, that's basically it. Like, and also, like, you don't need to, like, I don't go around trying to, like, alter your worldview and, like, you gotta believe what I believe. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, I just believe a certain thing. But, like, I love how people love to come in and be like, well, you're crazy and you're this and you need to go to Jesus. I'm like, I don't need to do anything. I'm not telling you to do anything. That's the thing. Like, and so doesn't matter if it's a triangle, it won't change my day. 100% voice of one. You go. There you go. You got it. My students, what is a watercolor of river is green, teacher. You know what, too? I'm going to quote Colors of the Wind from the Pocahontas movie, because I love it. Oh yeah, let's do that. Bring me all the cheesiness.
You think I'm an ignorant savage.
You think I'm an ignorant savage.
And you've been so many places that you don't know.
I guess it must be so.
You think you own whatever land.
Oh yeah,
you
let's do
land
that louder.
on.
Can I hear it?
The earth is just a dead thing you can claim. But I know every rock and
Tree and creature
has a life,
has a life,
has a spirit, has a name. You think the only people who are people are the people who look and think like you. But if you walk the footsteps of a stranger, you'll learn things you never knew,
Oh my gosh,
Have you ever heard the wolf cry to the blue corn moon, or asked the grinning bobcat why he grinned? Can you sing with all the voices of the mountain? Can you paint with all the colors of the wind?
Oh my gosh.
Can you paint with all the colors of the wind?
Oh, I just got all the tingles. I love that, the lyrics of that song, because it's that. How high does a sycamore grow? If you cut it down, then you'll never know. So it's just this idea of let nature awe you and be magical and mysterious, and let you, like a child, like interface with it in such a way that you don't know, and be open to what you don't know and what the mysteries of the cosmos and the earth and nature can show you, right? So, at least I cry when no one can see me watching movies. Thanks, Manuel. I used to sing a lot more with like my friends. I don't have a range. I will say that I have like a very low range. Like I have a very like low alto kind of range, but let me see here. If I can warm up my voice. There's also a song by Mariah Carey that I love. There's a hero when you look inside your heart. You don't have to be afraid of what you are. There's an answer if you look inside yourself, and the answer's at you. I don't remember the rest of the part. And I need to warm up my voice because it's I haven't sang in a long time. I used to sing in musical theater, but I usually like singing with others. When to be by myself, I'm like, oh no, you all can hear me. Oh, thanks for the rest. Okay, so let's go into the planets and let's get into the readings without further ado. That's what I really wanted to do here. Will this open? Perfect. So we have Sun in Pisces, Moon in Cancer, Mercury and Venus in Aries, Mars is in Cancer, Jupiter is in Gemini, Saturn is in Pisces, Uranus. Oh, hey, Abraham Bregman, thanks for the rose. We've also got, Saturn in Pisces, Uranus in Taurus, Neptune is in Pisces, Pluto is in Aquarius. So as per usual, we're in this really cool cosmic alignment right now, you guys. We have Sun, Saturn, and the North Node sitting in the dream world. And we've got Neptune, Mercury and Venus, and is that Chiron? Oh yeah, Chiron's also in Aries. So fun fact about Chiron. Chiron as an asteroid in your chart indicates where you can have healing in this lifetime from previous lifetimes. And so having Chiron sitting in the sign of Aries, which is like your first breath, your first scream, we're in Pisces right now, right? We are all coming together and leading up into the beginning of the astrological new year, right? Spring is here, right? Life is back, As a Taurus, I've been feeling a lot of change. 100%. Taurus, I feel like out of all the signs, is most tied to the earth. In terms of like the body, the mirroring of how our body also mirrors the great earth mother body. And also just this idea of building anew. So after old systems are thrown away and we no longer need them, from the fertilized soil, we have new life spring up. But Taurus is all about planning too, very practical. So this idea of ensuring that we have all of the stuff ready in order to have the growth that comes, to take advantage of when we have the energies finally aligned, so that, I like to think of it as like in RPG games like Dungeons and Dragons, I usually like to play like a rogue or like a ranger. So like, when you're like in a fight, I'm like far away using a bow and arrow. Oh my gosh, my thing fell down. Oh, I just made it all fall. Okay. That's a good sign. I think I'm going to end this one. Okay, I'll say bye here and then I'm going to do the reading.